he was the symbol of masculinity, right? He was a symbol of strength. You know, he was epic and based, and he owned the libs, right? But if Trump were to be humiliated, especially in we could say inflammatory ways that were accurate, right? That were logically consistent, but still ended up making him look weak. That I think would be an incredible way to make people leave
perfect.
Trump.
Yes.
I am
Anytime
very
that you talk
worried
to a
about
Trump supporter, why do they
2026
tell you they
now.
like
Again,
Trump?
This is your guys' strategy here. Just bully.
Do you
them.
not think that's
not
true,
We're
Ed?
not talking about electoralism right now. We're talking about how do we
persuasion.
how do we
persuasion. Bullying. When's the last time you were persuaded because someone bullied you?
We ain't
Wait,
never
you're not
lived
trying
in
to
this
bully-
era.
I was
We've
bullied
never
into
lived
being,
in this
I was bullied into
landscape.
being a liberal. I was the only conservative, like the only Christian conservative at my high school, and I was bullied.
I had so many like windows
hardcore
open.
for
My
it.
computer like.
Here I am. I'm based
Being
like
ousted,
five.
yeah.
I'm
sorry.
based 7 years later.
Okay now.
All right.
All I'm saying is, like, imagine, like, if we had compilation after compilation of conservative gets destroyed, conservative gets owned by, you know, epic liberal, right? I feel like that would sway so many people, and it would make them essentially start to challenge themselves. That's what sucked so many people into, like, alt-right libertarian bro
Reach out to someone else and stitch it together.
Before I
That's kinda what
really
was
got
getting
into YouTube politics, I used to see those clips of Ben Shapiro, and I'm like, damn, like everybody's stupid. I'm like, it's Ben Shapiro, like, so he is so smart. And then once I saw past the clips, I'm like, this motherfucker don't know what he's talking about. Like, so like that shit do work, except I think we're actually on the right side of history this time. So seeing people get embarrassed like that can sway you. You don't want to be on the losing side. And I think that the right has not looked like losers optically for a while now.
And the issue is that they are so organized, though. I mean, they have a lot of big money backing their creators. I mean, they're very, very organized. It's a sophisticated system that they have going on.
Russia backing
Well, I mean, you know, yeah, but I mean, in any case, it's very sophisticated, and they have. I mean, it's very centralized. Their messages they're all so synchronized with every single talking point, and that's very hard to kind of
And
achieve
here we are
naturally.
fucking debating this. Here we are debating our
right?
messaging.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, we need someone to tell us what
We're
to
catching
say,
up.
apparently.
If you guys would just listen, we'd
I
win
think
every
it's good.
time. But you guys fight me for some reason. I don't know why. You should just
Because-
again.
But
get
Wick,
in
I
line,
think
fall in
we're also in
line,
a
and let
different
me
we're
win
also in
for
a
you.
different
That's all.
environment right now, though, because it's not business as usual at the top anymore, right? I mean, we're seeing they're cracking down on freedom of speech quite literally. I mean, they have yes men in every single cabinet position, and yeah, I think that in a normal political environment that would backfire with the electorate. But when they are now able to control quite literally everything, it's a little worrying, and it makes me wonder.
Very worrying.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a report just yesterday from Ken Klippenstein that the FBI is being recommended by the Heritage Foundations to designate every trans person as a nihilistic, violent extremist.
That's absolutely a terrible, horrific thing that people need to be concerned about. We should fight against legislatively. But I don't know if, like, this is one of the reasons it's very important to have good persuasion, to have good rhetoric, because we need. Can we all agree that, like, 2026 is a tipping point?
Absolutely.
We have
No,
absolutely.
we don't know.
to win. You don't agree we have to win in
We don't-
2026?
That's not what you said. You said it's a tipping point. I don't know. I think we're already past the tipping point. I don't know. I can't see the future. A tipping point on what? That's just you're posturing,
If we don't
which is
win
another
in
thing in the CIA
2026,
manual, by the
it
way.
much worse, is what I'm saying.
You say if we don't.
It's
win,
already
it's
bad for
worse.
some of
What
us,
do you mean
Wick.
much worse?
2026 things get much worse.
What do you mean by much worse?
It
they'll make them after you by
reinforces.
then.
First of all, you got another 2 years of Trump being able to do
That's what it
pretty
matters,
much
right?
whatever he wants with no congressional oversight, because again, the Republicans control the House, Republicans control the Senate, which makes it much easier for the president to push his agenda. So that's one. He's got 2 more years of that. Okay, and 2, it reinforces the narrative that MAGA is winning and MAGA is popular and MAGA is the way forward, and
Their
that's gonna
narrative
have
does not need
ripple
facts either
effects
way.
down the line. So my advocacy and what I'm telling you right now is that 2026 is a must-win year, because if we win in 2026, if we take back the House and the Senate, or hell, even just one of those, suddenly we can stymie Trump's whole agenda. It becomes much, much harder for him to implement any of these bans or any of these things. We can push back legislatively against some of these executive order overreaches that he's done.
Chad,
we
I'm
can
gonna
push
lose it.
back legislatively against
Chad, I'm
a
gonna
lot
lose
of the
it.
different things he's doing. We can reopen a lot of the investigations that he's closed on these things, and we need to be able to do this. And so again, 2026 is
Chad, look up the
what
CIA manual. This is in it. I swear.
I'm laser focused on this right now because it is the most important thing we need to do. Okay,
I
We
swear
need to
this
win.
is so. This is right
So
in
then
there.
let's be super
I-
base like
I
our
agree with
Republicans
you.
and not give a fuck about
I
who we
agree.
offend. And
No, because that's gonna make us
forward-moving
lose.
conversation.
I don't
Are
know
you
how you
serious?
understand this.
Go
This will
ask
make us
any
lose. We
Republican
will
that you
lose
know
if
what
it
they
goes
like
your
about
way.
Donald
We
Trump.
will
What
lose.
is their answer? What
Thank
is their
you.
answer?
But we're not
Anytime
appealing
if
to
I
the.
went, the last thing that I heard a Republican that is in my family tell me that they liked about Donald Trump was that he's literally just a guy. Like he's literally, they were like, oh, he's just a bro. That's why I voted for him. I don't really know anything about politics. They're retarded. They're not. This is not like the intellectual.
I'm not worried
debunking,
about
like, blah, blah, blah.
2026. I'm not worried about it.
I'm
And
not
I don't
either.
think
I think
Destiny
people
is
are gonna
gonna
hate
be-
what's happening.
I don't think Destiny is going to be a reason people decide to not vote. People are seeing nobody likes what Trump is doing. Like he's pulling kids out of schools. He's taking things from people. Nobody is rocking with this. So he's digging his own grave. Like I'm not really worried about us winning 2026. Just like people felt like they weren't in a good spot when after his term with Biden, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. People feel what's happening right now. They're seeing prices go up. They're seeing their friends and families getting deported. Like people are upset, just like they went out to vote when they was upset about Biden.
Hey, I agree with you on all of those things. The only worry comes in is with all of the crackdowns that they're doing with the elections, trying to rig shit in advance. I think that's very worrisome. So on that front, I'd be worried. Wick, I want to ask you something though.
Notice, by the way, how the two people
you
most
think
to the right on
Destiny
this issue are the two most
is going to be a
demographic
meaningful
majority.
arbiter
The two
in
least affected
making
by these
people
policies.
sit home in
Notice
the
how
midterm
they
elections?
can be choosy.
What do you mean meaningful?
gatekeep.
Do I think he's gonna do I think hundreds and thousands of
Here,
people are
this,
gonna stay
Close
home
Cape
because
guy
of,
and Wick.
singularly because what
Like enough to make a
Destiny's Ezra
difference.
doesn't
They're
say
like,
no.
oh, this could matter.
I
It's
don't
the whole
think
thing.
that.
It's all
But these
theoretical in the future to
elections,
them.
especially
Where
in
everyone else
states
is like,
like
hey,
mine,
we need something that's working
are
now.
decided with less than
we need you to
20,000
stop
votes
dragging
in
us back
cases,
right now.
right?
Because
Very,
that's where
very
everyone
small
else is.
margins.
There are problems
so even
now,
if he
and we
just
can't-
turns away 5,000 people,
We can't be picky
which
about like,
isn't
who's coming out of the
out
ambulance and
of
saving
the
us.
realm of possibility, considering how many millions and millions and millions of people are viewing his clips, right? That makes it harder for us. And again, I'm ruthless with this. I don't want to cede any ground. I want every advantage. And if that means I have to disavow bad rhetoric from Destiny to do that, fuck, I will. Every day of the week.
That's
Hey,
fine.
real
Well,
quick.
I'm gonna
Hold
is
on.
a good-
Pause. Everyone pause. We're coming in at 2 hours. It's getting to be a bit long. I think this is a good time to start rolling into closings. All right? Because now I feel like I'm listening to everyone. I've got my own thoughts. I'll share them at the end. I'm not sure if there's. I don't know. I feel like people have their positions and have heard reasonably the other side's arguments. So I'm going to go down the list and I'm going to have
Sorry, Chad.
everyone. I'm going to give you all. Going to give you all the opportunity to
Sorry, Chad, I'm
shout
trying.
yourself out, shout out
Give
your
the
platforms,
tactics.
and then give your closing arguments, your closing statements, and then we'll go through until we're done. Anne, you joined a little bit late. Would you like to shout yourself out, tell people who you are because you weren't here for openings? Then tell us what your positions are.
Sure. I go by Leftist Blondie on almost every platform. All of my information can be found in any link tree, in any bio, on any social media platform that I have. I am a leftist, so I have a variety of crazy views. But I think the problem that we're running into is that we are so focused on appeasing the right, and the right was somebody who never will be appeased. I will never just convince, my Republican family that they should vote for Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris is super kind and sweet and she'll never say anything bad about anyone who's ever died. I don't think that that's going to work. I think there's obviously a difference between political messaging from political pundits and political messaging from the Democratic Party themselves. I think the Democratic Party probably needs to integrate with the influencer side, and they're doing that, but they're being really disorganized about it, and I think they need to start working with influencers who are a little bit more edgy, who are going to push the bar, who are going to say, we're going to push back against this. We're going to give them a hard time because these views are ridiculous and they should be shamed and they should be ostracized because that works. It works for high schoolers. It works for adults. That's what got me from being a Steven Crowder watcher to being on the relatively far left, generally speaking. So I think that's what we need to focus on. I think Steven did a fine job just condemning and moving on and being like, yep, okay, well, now I'm not actually going to fully condemn it until I hear Donald Trump condemn it because that's ridiculous and you shouldn't vote for somebody who won't condemn political violence. That's it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Anne. Next, Bex. Beck, would you like to shout yourself out, give your closing statements, and yeah, what are your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah. My Substack is at unaligned.sh. On Twitter, I am just Bex, and I'm hoping to start making some more content out there. Generally speaking, I think that in terms of rhetoric, we should be pretty ruthless against people like the Tim Pools, the Matt Walshes, these kinds of people. But when we're trying to reach the more normie kind of audience, I think we need to use a softer touch. That's kind of where I'm sitting. I've really loved hearing everyone's perspectives because there are a lot of things that I didn't even think of. So it's been really refreshing, and yeah, I had a lot of fun chatting with everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, am I up next? You're muted, Riley, if you said me.
Crap, sorry, I'm getting tired. It's late on a Saturday night, so I apologize. Yes, Ethan, you're up next.
All right, thank you. So, yep, I'm officially Ethan. I'm trying to bring some form of masculinity to the left, and like I said, we seem to really be lacking that. In terms of what I think the best strategy is moving forward, something that was asked earlier is it the best idea to bully them, right? And the answer, I would say, probably yeah, right? Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, all these people, they made their entire careers. They have made millions. They have been so influential based on doing nothing but bullying other people, making them look foolish, humiliating them. But imagine if we humiliated them. That, I feel, would pull every sense of credibility away from them. As for inflammatory rhetoric, if you have the right argument for it, then absolutely go for it and go hard on it. But if you don't, then you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, like what I think happened on Piers Morgan. But I'm officially Ethan, and that's my closing statement. Everyone here is great. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ethan. Up next, Logix.
Yeah. So I just want to say, I think everybody has a different role to play. Like, the content creators can't function as the politicians we want to vote in. We all have a role to play in this environment, because if people like Benny Johnson can have a platform, I think that what Destiny doing can only be a net positive. These people just lie like it's like they breathe, and they're still able to be successful. They're still to garner people to come out and vote. So I think there's somebody that's actually rhetorically effective, knows how to debate, knows the information. It may just get unhinged at time. I think they're going to bring in people that may not even be paying attention to what's going on just because of the energy. I don't see people just not voting because they see one person screaming. I don't think that's really how people are motivated or not motivated to vote. But yeah, my name is Logix, Logix on YouTube, on TikTok. There's Logix, Instagram, Ill2Real, ILL, the number 2, REAL.
Cool. Thank you. Yep. Thank you so much. Up next, Politiscape. Politiscape. Do you want to shout yourself out and give your final thoughts?
Yeah. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Politiscape TV on YouTube, or you can hit politiscapetv.com to hit all my other links. As far as my closing statement goes, I would say that what Destiny is doing has been effective for Destiny. I think that we do need to be mindful of where we are deploying inflammatory rhetoric. I think when it comes to our politicians, I think they have looked weak. They have looked feckless. I think adopting more of a Gavin Newsom strategy or something similar would be welcome in this particular environment. But I think as far as inflammatory rhetoric goes, as content creators, I don't see an issue with what Destiny's doing. I think he is building his own little army that he's been able to deploy to get people on the ground canvassing and things like that. I think he's been incredibly effective. And so, yeah, I think he should keep on doing what he's doing there. Like I said, politiscapetv.com. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Up next, we got She's Right.
Yeah, she's right. You can support me at she'srightshow.com. I believe that the optics are far less important than memetics and sabotage, which we see in the results. Do what works, do what doesn't work. Play the actual communication game that got someone to the White House. We don't all need the same narrative. We need narratives that work, and we need to waste less time playing to the narratives of these people who have wanted to and successfully wasted all of our time a week after the fact, instead apologizing for and endorsing and retroactively building their narrative, instead of the truth that these radical right violent extremists must be stopped and must be held accountable for their violence and should apologize and be fired.
Thank you. And then lastly, Wick, you were, you kind of took on the heel role for this panel, so I figured it would be appropriate to have you go last. So you got the final word on it.
Okay, fair enough. And to be clear, I'm not memeing here. This is actually what I believe. This isn't a heel role. I just want to make that.
You're all good. And also, thank you for being like a good sport. Thank you all. We're all well-meaning. We all want what's good for the movement.
Yeah, look, fight with me. I like fighting. Okay. I agree. Let's do what works. And if I told you that there was a strategy that was effective 3 out of 4 times, okay? 3 out of 4 times that you would win if you employed this strategy, right? And if you chose the other strategy, you'd win 1 out of 4 times. Which strategy?
Let me turn this down. What gets attention is what works. What gets attention is what works. Yeah, it's a truism. Trump lost in 2020 when Trump was deplatformed. Once he was given his power back, he won. Rick is absolutely boxed in by his own privilege. Yeah. We don't have data on the time that he spent shitting on the left versus shitting on the right, but what message do you walk away knowing? What message is in your head? What message isn't? Who's responsible for that? Yeah, I turned them down.
Right. It is a lot harder for electeds to be able to go into very toxic or adversarial environments like Piers Morgan because they have a lot more to lose. They have electeds that they could lose. They have, constituents that might vote against them. It's very concrete that they could end up having their bottom line affected. If they say something inflammatory, they might get a lot of views, but they might turn a lot of people against them. Whereas there's at least a reasonable argument I think people should think about that influencers are not affected to the same degree, right? I think that could create some interesting synergies between how influencers and politicians or electeds differ in their communication strategy. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, and this is actually, that point actually related to something that Logic said. I made note about that because I want to bring that up, and I really like what you had to say about that. The other thing is that what it means to be effective. Right? So there's growing as a social media content creator, right? For content creators, a lot of the time, if you're trying to grow conventionally, you're going to appeal to people who largely already agree with you. That's my expectation. You're probably already appealing to people who generally agree with your views and want to hear more of what you have to say. I think that's something that people should consider, is that inflammatory rhetoric is a very effective way to at least get you in front of new audiences. You got to be careful. You're playing with fire, and you can make a lot of people hate you real fast. But kind of like what you said, Wick, earlier about, what is it, contact bias, or how long you interact with someone?
Contact theory.
Yeah, contact theory. If I can get in front of someone enough times, and even if I'm saying stupid shit a lot, I'm thinking about fucking CTV, right? I don't agree with anything that guy has to say 99% of the time. But you know what? I see him enough and I interact with him enough that I like him. As a personal person, I'm willing to listen to him more than most other people with his kind of views. So I think that could also be applied in the inverse. Something for us to think about. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you all later. People who are watching, visit RileyGraceRochong.com to support the stream and check out Verse and Scribble and all that sort of shit. And yeah, that's all I got. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, thanks again.
Nice.
Right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey chat, how's it going? Let's do a little debrief. Let's do a little debrief afterward. I'm not gonna block Wick. I think there is more to gain by penetrating that audience in that space. Though, I don't think he's an evil guy. I just think he's wrong about this. I think he is naive to his own privilege and the ways in which that restricts him. I think a lot of the white people on the panelists vastly underestimated the degree to which racism impacted people's votes. A lot of men vastly underestimated the degree to which sexism affected their votes, which those bigotries are also perpetuated by media blasting all the time, perpetuating these messages. These are systemically inherited issues. I think there are not many starting out or necessarily like raised authentic, like in it on purpose bigots, as much as people who are generally open-minded and assume good things are good and the world generally works the right way, like the just world fallacy, and then they're just constantly shown racist messaging all the time, and have just completely bought into that. Like, people don't realize you are not immune to propaganda. And I want to talk about that and stream more. I'm going to do more streams on that. It's getting late, but in future days, for sure. And I'll fix my setup. I'm sorry, my computer overheated and shut down. I'll stitch the videos together and then upload them. Maybe I'll just let this be a separate part too. But yeah, read the CIA manual for like how you sabotage a movement, and it is indistinguishable from the habits, purposeful or not, paid or not, that you will see mostly in like the far left, like people who are like, I'm a leftist, I'm not a liberal, and then spend all their time criticizing liberals. It's like to a T, to the point that like I wonder if some of these people, like the Taylor Lorenz types, might be psyops. Especially I'm worried about like the Young Turks, and like Anna Kasparian, like they tick a lot of those boxes, and that's why when pushed, like those are the types of people who are like, oh, so will you like condemn Donald Trump for this? Will you ask for him to apologize? That's when they freak out at people like Destiny, because the bottom line when it comes to it, like they won't actually criticize that. Sorry, I can't type it, like send it in chat in like the Streamlabs. It's not giving me like a message send box. But if you just look up like CIA sabotage manual, like literally just Google that, it like the PDF comes up, like from the CIA's own website. It's declassified. It's a public document. And there's like technical stuff that is about like property damage, because it was, you know, in 20th century like industrial facilities. And then the last section is when it gets into more like social operations. And even a lot of those parts that talk about things like tools and materials are applicable to like social messaging, like content. Yeah. So if you want an effective message, keep it like short and simple. Keep it aggressive, make claims that it's then on the other side to like spend their time apologizing for or refuting or explaining, because it takes more time than saying something. People who are these like undecided, apolitical, moderate voters or whatever, are not actually going to be swayed. They're not waiting patiently and watching whatever some random congressman says denouncing political violence and like, now I'm on board. Okay, what we have seen far more of is conservatives, or like people who are like, I'm a moderate, I'm a centrist, I'm apolitical, who are like lying and always vote for Trump, go on forums and then say, I was not even registered, but this is the last straw, liberals, now I'm going to register as a Republican. Okay, which is like, I want to become the woker. They do this over literally every culture war issue. They're trolling because they want to give a sense. They're lying because they think other people are doing that. They think they're speaking for other people, and they're trying to make you feel bad and shame you into walking towards them, into like nagging you into negging you to do more for them. So like, well, now you push me, now I'm going to like vote for you. This is very identifiable. If you are a woman or have any lived experience for whatever reason as a woman, even if you no longer identify that way, you are familiar with the concept of like the pickup artist technique, where guys will like try to put you down, or then be like, well, now I'm not even going to support you, and like, no, I don't even like, I'm not even attracted to you, you're not even hot, and like, that's a framing, that's an abusive manipulator tactic. So you feel obligated to like reach out to them and do more for them. and work harder, right? What they're trying to do is it's a bad faith question or complaint that's not even based in anything because they want you to feel bad and then feel like you have to work up to them. Like it puts them on a pedestal. Yeah, everyone cares about Jimmy Kimmel. And that's the thing, we could spend that time being like, if we wanted to appeal to moderate voters, hey, isn't that awful? Isn't that an overstep that the FCC did of threatening these stations? So they took down this thing, and Jimmy Kimmel, like, what about free speech? And those, like, if you could talk to those values of, like, this is weird, this is messing with normal mainstream stuff, like, this is not just politics letting normal world exist, this is politics, cancel culture getting in the way of normal politics, that's what centrists care about. And conservatives care about free speech as, like, a principle, like a stated political principle. And a lot of, hey, Corbin, and a lot of these people, think or talk about free speech a lot, even though like I think some of them believe that as value and some of them are just saying it to fit in and get their community. And then once they see that like clash against the actual realities, that's concerning to them, and that's a split in their spaces because they're seeing who actually lied about free speech and is now completely flipping on it, and who actually has concerns because they thought this was real and they actually do support free speech. So those are the kinds of things like you can look at what they're concerned about. It's not like, oh, they need to apologize for this. No, because like they're not basing that claim on actually seeing people say awful things. Like, and their apologies aren't going to matter to them. They don't see your apologies. They don't care about your apologies. They don't even know if you said anything that needs an apology. They're assuming. Like they heard a narrative first, blasted them from media, and they reasonably assume that's true because we don't tend to by default assume people are lying to us. That is simply the framing we need to do. No, I mean. So here's the thing, you can protest on lots of issues at once, because here's the mistake the left makes. We do not all need to be the same person. We do not all need to agree on everything. We need to agree on a shared, big picture, vague goal that's big enough to fit all of us. What we need to do is not let the right agree on everything, and find those splits, and split them apart. Make them ask the reasonable questions, because as much as we complain about leftist infighting, no one's actually looked. The right is full of factionalism and infighting that is a tenuous alliance, and that alliance is ripe to be split and should be split. Like it's pathetic. Like the technocrats and the evangelicals are in like direct contradiction. You have like the tech bros who like, and that's why we saw some of this, like especially when Elon Musk was there, and that's why they got rid of Elon Musk, because it put those splits on full display, and it was embarrassing to them and backfiring because things like immigration visas, you have the evangelical base who are like no immigration, and then you have like Elon Musk and like tech bros being like, yeah, we need immigrants because we want to make money, and that's how this works. And so like the curtains got pulled because it was that like veneer of agreement started to break and they started to turn on each other. And the secret is Trump, even though he's this hero Christ figure of the evangelical faction, is actually on the big business I'm here to make money side and lies to them. And that's why like Trump campaigns on releasing the Epstein list, but he doesn't actually release the Epstein list because he's actually on the side of like the rich elites who just want to be low key and then do awful stuff and have no consequences. And that's what he even needs to show in his actions. That's the thing. No, if they're completely brought into my media, like they still have values. You don't need to agree with them. Like you're not going to agree on specific issues. You're not going to agree on specific facts, but appeal to their values that leads them to believe in those things and leads them to act on those things. Like the Trump coin thing is awful. I think it's a concern to anyone who at least said on some level they voted about the economy, even if that was like a lie or an excuse for like just racism and sexism. To some extent, they might believe like they're voting for the economy. Don't you think it's concerning that the president put up a statue of him? There's a statue of the president inside the Treasury holding a Bitcoin. Doesn't it seem concerning to you that like the president of the United States doesn't want to endorse or stand by the U.S. dollar? Doesn't that seem to fit like what we're seeing here, with the U.S. dollar going down in value by 10% over this year? Isn't that messed up? I think so. I think that's awful. I think that should worry anyone who like is an American who spends money. Like there's no belief in the dollar in the presidency. But if you're talking to a more evangelical person, don't you think it's concerning that he's literally building golden idols of himself? Isn't that disrespectful and not what this is about? If they criticize like peaceful protests because like, oh, so like there's some property damage. I'm not endorsing property damage. I think that could also be avoidable. Sure, yeah, things could be better. These could be perfect. Don't you think it's concerning that a bunch of radical right extremists stormed the Capitol and like destroyed like a famous, sacred, symbolic building of American patriotism and pride? These are people who would be so upset about like someone tarnishing an American flag or like, stepping on it or burning it. So like they do care about these things as symbols. That's like very important to them. So like, don't you think that isn't that like repugnant to you to see that happen to the Capitol? Why doesn't that matter? And there you can turn someone who's trying to like complain about like a Black Lives Matter protest really from a place of racism, but they don't want to say that loud. So like they're convincing themselves that this is about like property damage, and then you can wrap them into like, yeah, if you care about property damage, shouldn't you disagree with this? Like, so you're targeting them on their values, not any specific position or issue, in a way that's consistent with their values, because that's how you actually breach through. Too many people on the left get super excited about facts and being a nerd that they will debate an issue on the facts to someone who'd never cared about the facts. Even the political violence done by radical right extremists all the time, including this week. 13 homeless people are dead after a Fox News host promoted their murder, and then someone heard, and the next day, horrible tragedies targeted 2 homeless camps in Minneapolis, which are the types of people the guy said should be murdered. And then they heard the message. Several young men, I'm not sure if they're all Black Americans, and at least one's confirmed Black American, have been found hanged by a noose in public. Also, I believe in Missouri. I could be wrong about the state. I apologize. One was immediately ruled by the police to be like self-inflicted, but that's not a method people use for that, and it's like suspicious, and the investigation does not seem right. The families are hearing this from the news before they're being told by the cops. The cops are telling them different things. That's concerning to me. Like there are a clear cause and effect of violence here. No accountability for that. If people are saying, and they're complaining and dog whistling, like, don't you care about political violence? Be like, yeah, I do. So let's talk about the political violence that's actually happening. Do you care about that too? And then they can't say no. And they wouldn't say no if they actually mean it. And if they don't mean it, call them out on it, because then they look back to everyone else who's just seeing this person who's been a thought leader saying, we got to care about political violence, we got to do something about political violence, immediately turn around and say they don't care about political violence when it happens to lots of real people. And that's a real problem. I think it's offensive at this point, especially, to like complain about people on Twitter joking about like a tragedy after it happened because they're trying to build a narrative that, like, that's what caused it in the first place, when there isn't any evidence of that whatsoever. Meanwhile, they're ignoring a very clear, direct, and specific cause and effect of all this other violence at a bigger scale. Yeah, like, the stress is scary. Like, they don't care about the facts, but they care about the stress. Like, everyone cares about, like, look, we care about safety. You care about safety, I care about safety. And then lots of people will even, like, on the radical right, justify extremism against minority groups because they've been told that's what it takes to bring about safety. Or, like, that's what it takes to bring about good, right? Like, to them, like, if you had the same input they had, that's why they think their actions are justified. And you might think that, too, if you were presented the same facts. Which is, but the problem is the premise is wrong. So don't, like, indulge that premise. Question the premise. Because they'll only believe their actions are wrong if, like, you confront the reasons. Because otherwise, like, they're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and they think you're lying to them because they don't want you to do the right thing and get to the right conclusion. I don't think Wick is just afraid. I think Wick is naive. I think Wick is naive. I think Wick is unaware of the degree to which he's been appropriate, like the degree to which he's been propagated by propaganda machines, and the degree to which he's internalized that, including conservative-led framings on several issues, especially about like Democrats, like what's wrong with the Democrats, and he doesn't realize he's parroting that, when a lot of that is bad faith from like racists. Safety thing, yeah, like I mean, since the Charlie Kirk thing happened, there have been several instances of murders from radical right extremists onto people and groups specifically and consistently targeted by radical right rhetoric. Hey, so like I want people to, you know, be safe, be happy. I agree on solving the problem, and I think if yeah, it's weird to see Wick obsess over Destiny. Like, that's the thing. No one else wanted to talk about Destiny. No one else wanted to talk about Destiny. We were not talking about that. We're like, yeah, it's effective. You know, some people heard one side of the argument they've never heard before. And you don't even have to agree with that tactic. But, like, why are you spending all your time trying to censor or stop a tactic that's working and reaching some people, instead of, like, just also positively do another tactic and reach different groups of people? But, like, instead, Wick spent all his time arguing with people who are doing one thing, to be like, no, but you're just pleasing this other fictional audience that, like, I don't even know exists and probably doesn't exist, because Wick doesn't realize that a lot of people are like trolls or bad faith, and he's like buying into the trolls framing because the trolls want to make you waste your time, and then he ended up wasting all of our time. So technically speaking, for streams in the future, I'm gonna focus on like lowering like RAM demands on my computer. I'm sorry. I had a charger plugged in and it like died faster than it went up, which is unfortunate. I don't know. I had too many things open. It just bugged out and then it brought a bunch of error codes. I'm sorry. I had to restart everything and then it's fine. But I will make sure full battery just in case. Do like short streams so like the odds of that happening are lower. I will limit how many things I have open, so that will improve uptime. Technically speaking, I will find some. Maybe I could put up a command to like push to mute, or not necessarily mute, but like lower the volume of the desktop audio, because if I talked when the Discord group chat was going on, people couldn't hear both, and I apologize for that. So I will try to see in Streamlabs if I can have the volume lower when I'm talking, so that way it's one or the other. But I did need it high when other people were talking and wanted to hear them. I'm trying to get a better setup and a more consistent setup, and I have a lot to say. In general, like media, like blasting your messages is good, just volume, like chuck and blast it. They can't respond to everything; it takes more time. Anything that resonates with anyone is a win because that will stick with them. You don't need your target audience to agree with you on everything. You need them to agree with you on one thing. More specifically, you have to get them to disagree with something on their own side. Because your average MAGA person is like so locked in, they will be fully skeptical of anything any normal American on the outside says. And there is no possible way to meet that burden. But they will never question anything on their side. If you can just find one of their actual concerns or hesitations and speak to them on that, then they will be more open to questioning everything else their own side is doing. And only once they're doing that do they get ashamed, embarrassed, and quietly step away. And that's what we need to happen, because it's genuinely a cult. And there are lots of people who've lost family members who are now just addicted to Fox News like a little toddler watching CoComelon on their iPad. And they're full of hate that they believe is fully justified. No amount of facts are going to talk them out of that. They need to stop watching just that content, or like stop believing in that content in the first place. That's where the burden is. So yeah, I'm going to end stream, but please stay safe, everyone. This is not, it doesn't get serious in 2026 for immigrants, for Black Americans, for LGBTQ Americans, for women, for transgender Americans. Like, it's real now. It was real yesterday. And it wasn't just, well, about the economy and Biden. It's like, no, it was real yesterday, and they were lying to you yesterday so they could win, and then say it was about the economy when there was a significant bloodthirst towards minorities existing, and that's terrifying to me. Yeah, lots of people have lost a lot of friends, and I think we should just try to get them back. And this doesn't mean, like, we shouldn't, like, shame them if they're getting out of it. We should welcome them if they come out. It's not on you to do that work for them, of apologies and make it up, but, like, show them they're wrong, and there's that embarrassment, and then, like, they assume they're not self-aware. Once you give them that self-awareness and, like, oh, and they realize they messed up, then they will walk back. But they need to flip that perspective inward. The harder you hit from the outside, the more it's just going to harden. Also, deep canvassing works, which is the full set of stuff that Wick was poorly alluding to. Where, yeah, you meet people and you talk with them, bond with them over a personal shared human experience, with the warmth and social friendliness, and even some jokes. So, like, that softens their perspective. It doesn't, like, present you in a hard head-to-head way. You're just like people, like, hey, you know, you also like this park or whatever. And you talk about that for a few minutes and let them, like, build up personal trust and connection. Then you bring up politics, and then you hear out their concerns, and then you ask them, like, probe their confidence in those concerns and why. Like, who told them that? Why are they so sure of this? How sure are they of this? And once you get to there, then you can pick that apart. And it's just about picking apart their premises. Like, most people can rationally draw conclusions based on their premises. And that's the problem. It's the information they have. It's the cards they've been dealt that they're playing with pretty okay. And I can't express to you how many Americans right now honestly think they are in a epic war for good and evil in the name of Jesus Christ against, I don't know what they think Democrats are. Not humans, which is the problem, and, like, the justification. And if that's what you think, like, that explains why they are so willing to hurt people, which is terrifying and upsetting, and it's not true. Like, we're all people. So even with stuff like this hat, like how I present myself, I'm trying to present myself like through the language and symbols they know are familiar and matter and trust, because I need them to hear me. And even something like what's on my hat, like they know what this is about. I don't have to say it. It's in their heads. And they know it's something they cared about. They know it's something they cared about. And that awareness, making them aware of like that they're turning on what they thought they knew and cared about. It's, you know, where's the cognitive dissonance? Like they need to just become aware of their cognitive dissonance and then treat it. I don't even need to advocate for any wild specific policies. And you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know everything. It's okay. But like, here's the thing. Democrats build a world that's fun, that works economically, that has saved and improved the economy every time, where there's interesting people to talk to and stuff to do, and you don't have to worry about anything, and you can be weird and unique. Even if you like that involves being a little cringe for a bit, like you can do that and then like be fine and move on. It works. Like and also like you can more easily get laid if you're a Democrat. I don't think that's said enough. I am a lesbian, but I have several straight friends who are like, gosh, I wish more guys were Democrats, because they're all just like stuck in this alt-right pipeline listening to weird podcasts, and they're freaky and they don't respect women, and they're a liability to be within a relationship. And it's like, that's it. Like, just, it's so much more chill to be normal and vote blue. Like, it's so much more chill. And it's safer. I don't like violence. Obama would have never said, stand back and stand by. And that's probably what I'm going to leave you with. But in the future, we're going to stream more and talk about way more ways to, you know, build effective advocacy, what works, what doesn't work, how to talk to different kinds of people, research more of that, because I'm tired of wasting time on, like, literal policy topic-based conversations where we can only, like, miss. We can only lose. Yeah, so, you know, we were talking about it. Like, it's comprehensive. There's a lot there, but I'm starting to think of some ideas. So expect more streams, like, later this week, in the same kind of evening time, and we will, like, have MS Paint up, and we'll do little notes, and maybe read some more books together. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Have fun. Stay safe. Have a great night.